Welcome to another episode of Angel's Awesome Minds podcast powered by Angel's Awesome Books.
Today, we're looking into something really important for parents, those early signs that might point towards autism in young kids, toddlers especially.
Yeah, we're drawing heavily from a great article by Angel's Awesome Books called Early Signs of Autism, What Parents and Teachers Should Look For.
It's all about getting parents this info quickly and clearly, because early awareness, well, it matters.
It absolutely does. Catching things early and getting support can really help with development. We're talking language, social skills, learning, even emotional regulation.
And it's quite common, isn't it? The stats suggest around, 1 in 100 children globally.
That's right. And very often, it's the parents, the ones who know the child best, who first sense that maybe something's developing a bit differently.
Okay, so let's get right into it then. What are these core signs parents might, pick up on?
Well, one of the big areas is definitely communication, specifically speech.
Like delays.
Exactly. By 12 months, you usually expect some babbling, maybe mama or dada. So if a child isn't really babbling or isn't using single words by, say, 16 months, that could be a sign.
Or maybe they talk, but differently.
Yes, sometimes. They might have very few words, or they might repeat phrases they hear that's called echolalia, but not really use them to, ask for things or comment. And sometimes just left overall interest in back and forth talking.
Okay. And what about nonverbal stuff, like eye contact?
Spot on. Eye contact is such a fundamental part of how we connect socially, right?
For sure.
So children with autism might make very little eye contact, or it might seem like they're looking past you, or maybe they're more focused on an object you're holding than on your face. It can be inconsistent.
Got it. And those little baby gestures, waving, pointing.
Yeah, think about how babies learn to point at what they want or wave bye-bye. These are key developmental steps.
So a child with autism might not do those things as much.
They might skip them or start doing them much later, or maybe the gestures seem a bit less natural. Imitating actions, too, like clapping along to a song, might be something you see less of.
Okay, that makes sense. How does this all play out in social situations with other kids or just interacting generally?
You might notice a child who seems quite content playing alone. Maybe they don't respond very consistently when you call their name.
Like they're in their own world sometimes?
Kind of, yeah. Or they might seem less aware of other children nearby, or show limited interest in joining in play with peers.
Right. And I know repetitive behaviors are often mentioned. Stimming.
Yes, stimming. That stands for self-stimulatory behavior. It can look like lots of different things.
Like hand flapping.
Hand flapping is a common example. Rocking back and forth, spinning, maybe lining up toys very precisely instead of, imaginative play. Or even repeating certain sounds or words over and over. It's often thought to be a way they regulate themselves or manage sensory input.
Okay, and you mentioned sensory input. The Angel's Awesome Books article talks about sensitivities.
Absolutely. This is a big one. Kids with autism can experience senses very differently. Some might be hypersensitive, meaning really bothered by loud noises, bright lights, certain textures of food or clothing.
Overwhelmed easily.
Exactly. Or they could be undersensitive, so maybe they don't seem to notice pain as much, or they might seek out really strong sensory experiences.
Interesting. And routines seem important too, like difficulty with change.
Yes, very much so. For many children, they often thrive on predictability and knowing what comes next. So a sudden change in the schedule, even something small, can sometimes lead to significant distress or a meltdown. That insistence on sameness.
Okay, those are some core things. Are there other, maybe less common signs to be aware of?
Well, sometimes parents notice a regression, like a child had some words or social skills and then lost them. That's definitely something to flag.
Anything else?
Maybe a very flat or monotone voice. Sometimes really intense, narrow interests, like knowing everything about trains, for example. And sometimes difficulty with pretend play, feeding a doll or making a toy car talk.
So with all these potential signs, when should a parent really think, okay, maybe we should get this checked out?
Angel's Awesome Books gives some useful age-based flags. Like by 9 months, if there are no big smiles or warm, joyful expressions.
Okay.
By 12 months, no babbling or gestures like pointing or waving. No single words by 16 months. By 24 months, no meaningful two-word phrases, not just repeating, but actually putting two words together like more juice.
And that loss of skills you mentioned.
Yes, any loss of speech, babbling, or social skills at any age is a crucial red flag. Really, if you're seeing a pattern, a few of these signs together, or you just have that gut feeling, it's worth pursuing.
So what's the first step if a parent is concerned?
The best first step is always to talk to your child's pediatrician or family doctor. They can do an initial screening.
And then maybe refer you.
Exactly. They can refer you to a specialist, like a developmental pediatrician or a child psychologist, for a proper evaluation. You can also look into local early intervention services. They often provide free screenings and support.
And Angel's Awesome Books offers more help too, right?
They do. They have an ebook called Tips for Autism and Developmental Delays, which parents might find really useful. It's available for purchase on their website.
Good to know.
And they also have a newsletter you can sign up for. It gives ongoing tips and resources specifically about learning disorders and developmental delays in children. Definitely worth checking out.
Great resources. So if we were to boil this all down, what's the key message for parents listening?
I think it's really about awareness and acting on your instincts. Recognizing these potential early signs isn't about labeling. It's about opening the door to support.
Getting help sooner rather than later.
Precisely. Early intervention can make such a positive difference for a child's future development and well-being.
That's a really hopeful and important point. So, a final thought for everyone listening. What small things have you noticed? Those little observations about how your child interacts or communicates. Maybe something that just made you pause.
Trust that instinct. Don't hesitate to gather more information and reach out for support if you feel something needs exploring further.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us for this really vital deep dive.
Thanks for listening to Angel's Awesome Minds podcast. Don't forget to visit Angel's Awesome Books at angels-awesomebooks.com for more tips and resources.